Good evening. It'll be a couple more minutes. We are waiting on one more council member to make it a quorum. As soon as that person walks in, we'll get started immediately. Thank you for your patience. All right, we have a fourth member that just showed up, so we can go ahead and start the meeting right now at 6:03. We'll call this meeting to session. At this time, please rise for your invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mark, could you lead us in a quick invocation?
Father, thank you for today. Thank you for those that have chosen to volunteer to serve. We pray your blessings on them. We pray your guidance as they make decisions for our community. Ask you a special prayer for Terry and that he gets well. Thank you for everything, and thank you so much for all that we have and all that Los Fresnos is all the time, but especially this time of year. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, at this time, we have visitors' remarks. We do have one that wishes to speak during these remark time. David Gillespie, come on up. Good afternoon for being here today. The floor is yours.
Is there a timer that
The time limit is,
5 minutes.
5 minutes? 5 minutes.
okay. All right. I don't get to see that. I guess last time it was up on the,
I'm not sure, do we have the, Yeah.
okay. Can you maybe let me know when I'm halfway there? It'll beep. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here. My name is David Gillespie. I'm a citizen here in Los Fresnos. And I first want to congratulate the new city council and Mr. Escobedo for his placement on the city council, and wish you all luck. And also Mr. Milam on celebrating, we agreed it was 19 years. So congratulations. My purpose today is I wanted to give 4 concerns I have and 4 proposed solutions for you to consider as it as it pertains to citizen participation regarding the budget. In the past 6 months, I've been trying to get more and more involved with local city governments here in Los Fresnos, and I've kind of navigated in a lot of different ways. And I've also come to city council meetings. I've even gone to the YouTube videos and watched them. And what I've noticed is, particularly as it pertains to the budget, no one really, citizens in general, either don't know about the budget, they find it confusing, access points to decision makers regarding the budget is limited and difficult, and then the 4th thing is the overseeing of the budget by decision makers, the city council, is a little vague and unorganized from my layman's point of view. So I'd like to expand on those concerns and then give you my solutions. So the first concern, the budget of Los Fresnos is a little bit confusing for the layman. And that's not to say that the budget is not different than what you'd find in another city, but just as me, as looking at it, it's confusing. I feel like it could be a little more friendly to the everyday citizen because it contains unfamiliar vocabulary, lacks some key organization that may allow citizens to better understand how their tax dollars are being spent. Second concern, the minimum requirement to make a public notice of the proposed budget in the local city newspaper is not really a public notice at all. I know it's required, but let me back up. I went and surveyed, not a lot of citizens, but I went and talked to some citizens and asked them, had they ever seen a proposal or the proposed budget or seen that it had been posted? Of the 10 that I reached out to, none of them had actually seen it. My third concern is reaching city council members through either the provided phone number on the city council website and email on the city website often leads to a dead end or a very delayed response. In my 6 months of trying to get a hold of the city council, I've had hit and misses of the city council, but I've only had one that was actually consistently responsive, and ironically, that one is no longer on the city council. My 4th concern is the city decision makers are elected by stakeholders to ensure tax dollars are being spent accurately and effectively, that there's any waste, but there doesn't seem to be an organized manner of how that is done. So my solution to the budget is confusing. My proposal is add a 1-page key term or 1-page definition that defines the key terms, such as like what is a no new revenue tax and voter approval operations tax, just so the citizens can understand them. Connect the expenditures by category pie chart that's on the budget to the specific expenditures. How do they relate to each other? My second solution to the problem that citizens are unaware of the budget, particularly the public hearing on the budget, is give city council members a city-issued phone that allows us to connect to them more directly rather than going here to the city council or city hall. Announce the budget hearings on the city council's or city officials' social media mediums. Ensure that budget hearings and perhaps the budget itself is 1 click away on the city website. And then encourage city council members to promote the budget and the public hearings on their own social media. Solution number 3 to problem number 3, access points decision makers are limited and difficult. So 1, get them a phone. I think everyone gets a laptop, but what I understand, that laptop isn't used very often, or it's kind of it's only for city council, so you'd only look at it once in a while. So if you email you, it doesn't go to your phone, it goes to an official laptop. It seems like it'd be better if you had a phone that was with you all the time, and you could access it easier. And then I think it would be good, I know some of the city council has social media. It'd be nice on the city website if we could see that. What is the social media that is preferred by the specific city council members? And then the other suggestion is create a city-sponsored one-stop website for citizens to express opinions, propose projects, etc. I know other cities do that, so that would be something to consider. Is that halfway, or is that it? That's 5 minutes? All right. Well,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on, we have a presentation and report of the 2023 Conjunto Festival. Rogelio, good evening, and come on up.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mr. Mayor and Mark and our City Secretary and audience. So my name is Rogelio Nunez, and I'm the Director of the Narciso Martinez Cultural Arts Center. And just wanted to give you a little bit of a summary of our 30th Annual Conjunto Festival, which happened on October 6th and 7th. I've given you a short report, basically tells you a few things. I think as best guesstimates, and we're always as best, I think we're pretty close, 2,800 people did attend. So that's actually a lot better than the other previous ones, which this was our 5th one here in Los Fresnos. We did have, there's one state missing. We had 12 states represented who came to the festival, which I don't include there, is Minnesota also brought 4 people, I think. There's a page there that tells you about the media outreach. We were very fortunate to have gotten the festival into the Texas Highway, Small Towns to Visit, Los Fresnos. They did mention the festival. A couple of the local Godoy's Bakery was featured in there too for their bakery. And then the whole idea of the refuge and so forth. We're in the front page of the Los Fresnos La Feria News and the San Benito News. The Valley Morning Star, for one of its, I really can't pinpoint it, but they didn't pick it up at all. And they've always been consistent since we started with the festival 30 years ago. I did have an apology from one of their reporters that said, we completely missed it. I said, well, you had all the information. We continue to send them the information. Of course, also, they're also down to 2 prints, Wednesdays and Saturdays. And if you want to read the Valley Morning Star or the Herald or the Monitor, you've got to go online and read those, MyRGV, which, again, sadly enough, they didn't put anything on there. The festival was live streamed in its entirety, from the start to the end for both days. So there was I had a few people say that they were watching it in California, wherever they may be, which again, if you get on the internet, that happens. We printed posters, distributed 200 of those throughout the area. We did have a 2,040-page color festival magazine, which we did distribute at the festival. There is some data that I didn't include, but we did a one-day survey, for people coming in, which was Friday. It's a short survey, who, what, when, and where. Many people don't want that. They don't want to tell you anything about that. They just want to come to the festival. They want to tell you, I'm staying here, I'm staying there. But nonetheless, Blanca does a good job of kind of getting you in there. So she talked to 685 people. And just a real quick summary, out of the area, which is out of the RGV, that's 30% out of those 685. Brownsville had 12%, Harlingen 8%, Los Fresnos had 17%, and then San Benito 10%, and other RGV 21%. We do know, because of, again, being on the ground and talking to people and people talking to us and so forth, we had over, about 60 people that we were able to identify that came from Houston. And we've always had a strong support from the Houston area. We did have 1 conjunto from Houston, and then we had 4 conjuntos from Corpus Christi. So that drew in, we think, that area that's important as well. But we do see, again, that we had more out of the area visitors than we had from Los Fresnos or San Benito and so forth. And that pattern, for us is not surprising, because we saw that in San Benito as well. People think that because you have it in the town that the people from that town are going to go, and interestingly enough, they don't go. More people come from the outside to the festival. It's hard to figure out what that may be the reason why. You'd have to have a research team to maybe start surveying people and asking let's say if you're in Los Fresnos, if we got 10% of Los Fresnos, we wouldn't fit in the festival grounds. But anyway, that's kind of a general sort of survey that we do. Like I said, it's not scientific, it's just real quick questions, jot them down and get the results. We did print the t-shirts, they're out there, whoever wears them, they do have Los Fresnos logo on the back, so those get to be publicized as long as you wear the t-shirt. And then I've included some comments from some people. Some people do send me comments and tell me, we liked it, we thought it was important, so on and so forth. I have a real long one there from a gentleman who's very much into the history of music, folk music from Tennessee, John Fabke, and he was just overwhelmed with what he saw. It's the first time he came. Again, it is spreading out to some of these folks who do research also and figure out like what's the best thing to do with some of these events. Other than that, again, we are happy it's over, because you get tired, it's a lot of work. I think we did well. We had no issues that had to deal with anything other than just have the festival. And issues, I mean, nobody stumbled over, nobody got into a fight, nobody got into anything like that. So that very well speaks to the city itself, I think. It speaks well to Public Works folks who are very, very good at the work they do, and to the PD, which does an excellent job crossing folks over. Luis was shuttling folks over in a buggy that we rent, a golf cart, and he brings them over from the golf cart, from the parking lot at the high school, and then takes them back. So that works well because folks, like that. They enjoy that. So other than that, again, we'll continue to look at 2024. We already, again, I did tell the EDC folks last time that we met, or that I was here, kind of started maybe looking at monthly programming. We did one Sunday. We had about 25 people show up. Real quick, presentation on sort of and I did that one myself because that's my background. I have, the degrees and so forth, but it's the idea of the Mexican Revolution and its impact on the U.S. in terms of the arts, in terms of demography, so on and so forth. So that went well, like I said, 25 folks. We enjoyed the cupcakes that were left over from the inauguration that y'all had Friday night, which was good. Jackie wanted to get rid of them, and we got rid of them. The other thing we are going to do, and we just talked about it on the 19th of this coming month, we're going to do a little presentation with the Los Fresnos senior citizens at the community center, where they'll come in and do their chalupa. We're going to do as much as we can to bring folks in to do the chalupa, maybe have some lunch, and at the same time we'll have some conjunto music for 2 hours. So the idea, again, is just to generate some more activity. But there are some things that, and again, we're planning hopefully for 2024. I know Val's here. I've got his calendar. We're working on something to add to the July 4th, and I'll get together with Val on that, in terms of adding to what you already have rather than bringing something new. And again, it'd be music, but we don't have to necessarily do it just all conjunto. There are some bands out there that do different kinds of genres. So we're looking at just adding that music piece to what you already do, which is fireworks and then the kids and so on and so forth. So, but we'll and I've been, I looked at the wall here, talked to Jackie in terms of art exhibits, which there's plenty to do. There's folks that I can reach out to, but we need looking at a wall, and again, and then can we drill on the walls and so on and so forth. And so, while this hallway here is, I think it's limited, but it could work. We're going to see if we can do something at the community center. The only thing there is leaving artwork overnight or for the weekend, because you do rent it out for the general public, and so you have to be very careful. But we could figure something out. That's not going to be an issue for us, but I think that'll happen. And then it's just start bringing in monthly events and hopefully bring in the whole world of the arts beyond what already happens in Los Fresnos. And again, just for your information, if you don't know, or if you do know, just to remind you that the arts is economic development. We get some financial support from the city. People arrive into town. The hotels or the only hotel was full for 2 days. I did find out in San Benito, where they used to stay back in the days when we were over there. It's on the one on American, I forget the name of the hotel. It's on the Express. When you get off on Sam Houston, they had a lot of folks who stayed over there, and I guess maybe it was full here. Some people told me that they couldn't get a room here, so they're going to stay somewhere else. So it brings in money to other folks and so forth. But it generates, vendors have to buy their food. LNF does well. Again, I'm trying to see if I can get more money from them because they do well. we do spend couple of thousand, or more than a couple of thousands of dollars to buy the beer on them, and hopefully they'll contribute more. But if you have any questions, I'm here for questions, suggestions.
Mr. Nunez, I just wanted to congratulate you on a great, successful Conjunto event.
Appreciate
It's been very good for the last couple of years that I've been the mayor, and I enjoy seeing the collaboration between you, the chamber of the city, and CDC. I think the ideas that you're bringing forth are very good, and it gives people options here in our city to consider. So again, thank you very much for everything you do. Greatly appreciate it.
We'll be here until we come to an end. So, Mr. Escobedo.
I just want also to congratulate you and hopefully we can continue what discussion we have with in the CDC.
Sure.
About doing the summer event.
Right,
I
well,
think-
that's why, yeah, and again, I'll get together with Val and others. I mean, I did talk to Jackie, and I think she had a good point. That event already has Public Works there, Fire Department, and PD, so we wouldn't have to have another event, so take advantage of it. I think it can work, I mean, I think it can work, I really do.
Yeah,
I think we can.
that's why anything that we can do to help you out,
Sure.
I'm sure that the other commissioners will be up for that, but I think we need a summer, something promoted more in the summer for the city to.
Yeah, no, well, definitely, it's on the calendar, and we'll start working on that. No? Thank you. We'll
Thank
see
you very much.
Happy holidays and.
Happy holidays. So moving on to consent agenda items. There's a total of 8 consent agenda items. They can either be enacted by one motion, or we can single some out. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless requested by one of the members of the council. These items may subsequently be removed from the consent agenda to be considered separately. So is there a motion, or does anybody want to pull anything out? Now's the time.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as it is.
So that would be 1 through 8. Motion has been made
Second,
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
aye.
And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Action item number 1, discussion and consideration and action required under the Texas Government Code 2254 for the city to provide a written statement and finding of the city's needs for specialized contingent fees, legal services for delinquent tax collection services, and delinquent municipal court fees and fine collection services. Mark, is there anything you'd like to add on this?
Yeah, this piece is not actually the agreement. The agreement's the next item. This has to be done first by law. And I've gotten the description there, the reasons for it, so I don't know if you have any specific questions on those.
No, I think this is what you have to do by legislation. And,
Right.
they're working on changing that, so I don't have any questions. If any of the council wants to make a motion? Or if you have any questions?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Escobedo
I'll second.
and second by Commissioner Fernandez. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to award a contract for delinquent tax collection services and a contract for delinquent municipal court fees and fine collection services to Linebarger, Guggen Blair, and Sampson LLP. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is the actual contract. We sent proposals out to, we advertised it and then sent 3 specific to companies that had previously inquired about the services, so we sent that to them. We got 1 proposal back from Linebarger, and so that's before you tonight.
Any questions or comments or a motion?
If you have any questions, Jeffrey Garcia and Monica Solis is here from their firm if you have any questions.
It's a 3-year contract, right?
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Monica, you mind stepping up?
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am, just a brief inquiry on the collections over the past two years. Anything you would want to input on that? How has increases or values on that?
Are you asking as far as collections on the delinquent tax side or the?
Delinquent tax side, correct.
Do you have it? Mr. Garcia has that's numbers for us.
So on the delinquent tax collection side, it's a little bit different than the fees and fines on your municipal court. Delinquent tax, every year we try to achieve as close as possible to 99% collections for the city of Los Fresnos. The Cameron County Tax Office does a great job every year of collecting and getting you up to 95% roughly. From then on, we then get the football and move you as close as possible to 100%. I can tell you that over the past at least four previous years, the collections have been at least 99%. And so we continue to move forward on that. On your municipal court collections, I will tell you that collections and resolution of your court cases has to do with your court staff. You have an awesome court staff here in Los Fresnos, and I will tell you that from across the state of Texas, we always get asked to use Los Fresnos as a reference because your collections are so high. So to answer your questions, collections are great from your municipal court. So if you...
Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate all the work you guys do for us.
I'll make a motion to award a contract for delinquent tax collection service and contract for delinquent municipal court fees and fines collection service to Lineberger.
And I'll second that. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Discussion and possible action to choose an individual for the 2023 Citizen of the Year program. Mark, I know we had Mr. Sheldon last year, and, I guess this is a time for us to discuss any possible candidates.
Yes, y'all asked us to bring it back up this time of year, so we're bringing it up for you to propose someone.
Do we have any nominees or?
We're just brainstorming some ideas right now. Do we have to pick?
That comes from y'all.
Yeah, I was, I have people that I've been looking at, but I'm not sure on the council if you guys have been looking around and getting a list of people that you think have made a big contribution to the city and should be identified for the year.
The idea was bring it up in November, and even it can be extended to December, and then you recognize in January is fine.
Okay, we
or
can bring up a
December.
name tonight, or what?
It would be nice, the sooner the
Okay.
better, because
I have a name that I would like to throw to the board, Barbara Rodriguez. Barbara Rodriguez has, she's been helping this community for the longest time. She's a veteran to begin with, and she's from Los Fresnos. She also is still helping. She's a person that has dedicated her time to taking people to the hospitals and on her own time. And she's served this community for the longest time, and she's been a volunteer for this community. And I just thought I brought up this. She works in the housing authority. She's still helping in Baptist church, and she's a long-time person from Los Fresnos. So that's the name that I would throw to the rest of the commission and see what they think.
I was also thinking, I know Mr. Manuel Abrego was our former mayor here in the past, and if everybody knows who Manuel Abrego is, he's a big part of this community, regardless if you agree with some of the stuff he does or don't. You can't admit that the guy loves the city. I haven't met anybody who has so much energy and drive in this town. And, thinking back, I definitely know Barbara. Barbara's a great citizen. I would definitely agree to go with Barbara. She's an awesome person. But I kind of do like the fact that, there's not many people out there in our community anymore that put time and effort that Mr. Abrego does. to do everything he does. And I'd love to recognize him now that he's alive and not when he's dead. And that's something that I think is very important. And I know that he probably would get mad at me if I brought up his name, but you know what? I have been thinking, and the guy does put a lot of work and effort into this town. So that's one of the names that I like to consider myself as well. How about any other council, any other names that the council would like to maybe mention? I know Barbara's a great choice. Wanted to see what any of the thoughts were from the council.
Would this person need to be living in the present, Mark, or did we ever agree on something like that?
No, sir, y'all didn't agree on any certain policies for that.
So we can come up with a few names and for the next meeting, come up with a list of names that we can all decide from there.
It's up to you.
I think Mark would probably need, if we all have about 2 weeks, if where there are any names, other names that are gonna pop up, let's make sure we give Mark enough time so that he can get that together. If they are present in terms of here still living in Los Fresnos, I would like to see them as well, if possible. Sometimes things happen.
Y'all could think about those two names and any others, and then officially present them and vote on it in December, and then we recognize them in January.
Yeah, I say we at least make sure we get them in within the next 2 weeks for sure. That way we are all on tap and we'll have at least 2 weeks to make that decision.
So right now, we'll go ahead and table this action item, which is action item number 3, discussion and possible action to choose an individual for 2023 Citizen of the Year program. We'll go ahead and make a motion to table. Oh, take no action at this time. So moving forward, we'll move on to action item number 4, consideration and action to allow the Los Fresnos Little League to name the baseball field located at the Los Fresnos Community Park. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is in something that's come up regularly, and for us that deal with the parks, it's confusing because everybody calls them something different, and
So is this an official name now is what we're looking for?
yeah, I think that we should. It's past time. The field that we lease from the school, it's been called a lot of different things. The school would rather it just be called the Lopez Riggins Field because they have some naming
Asset in it.
protocol that they would come through, and so it's just easier just to, we rent it from them, so that can be Lopez Riggins Field. The other one, you know, one time, some people call it East and West Field, some people call it the big field and the little field, some people call it the boys field and the girls field, some people call it the baseball field and the softball field, so.
So are we looking at one name complete for both fields, or are we looking at 2 names, one for each field?
2 names, one for each field.
Mark, could you get us a history on the park? For example, I was told that there's been a lot of people that have contributed to that park over the years. For example, we got Simon Vega, who owned the Little Graceland. He was a big part of that baseball field. He played a lot there. Just kind of curious to see who are some of the people that have made it what it is today, and maybe perhaps dedicate it to the names of some of those individuals.
I don't know those specific.
They have their own board and they have their own decisions, and it's a nonprofit.
The Little
Little
League, yeah. The idea here was allow the Little League to, what their concept was is to hold kind of a forum through social media to submit names so that like Mr. Vega could come up, others that maybe, I know some were coaches and then umpires for years and years and years after they played ball there. So there's those folks, and it can be any number of maybe individuals, but also could be a different
Maroon and
name.
gold, like maroon field, gold field, you know?
Could be that too. So what we're asking for is to allow the Little League to do that, and then they bring the names to you. You have the final say. That way it kind of protects that it's not I don't think they would bring anything offensive anyway, but.
I think it would be best if we name it one name and then do field 1, field 2, so because having 2 names may be a little bit more difficult to find those two names, and as it is, finding one name is going to be tough. But at the same time, Little League, there are our fields, Little League rents them from us, correct? I would hate to make that decision on my own. You are right, we need something, we need more collaboration. I would hate to make that decision ourselves. I would recommend a committee of 5 or 7, maybe one representative from Little League and other representatives of people who have worked in the past through, on those fields. But I would recommend a committee and not just leave it up to
I
the
think that
board
it's a
of Little
perfect
League.
opportunity for them to engage a little bit more with the people. So I will make a motion to approve Los Fresnos Little League to try to look for a name and bring it up to us to make the final
Well,
decision.
before we make motions, I think
She
we
already
need
made
to
a motion.
discuss,
She already
we need
made
to
a
discuss
motion.
that too.
So at this time, because she made a motion, wanted to see if there's a second.
Go ahead and second.
I'm sorry, did you second that? Okay, so motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. All right, moving on to consideration and action to appoint a new member to the Community Development Corporation, Place 6, for an unexpired term. Mark, you want to say anything on this?
Just that it would expire in February 2024, so we would like you to appoint it for not only just the next 3 months, but for that next term as well. And I think before you, you've got 3 or 4 names that have submitted those and were given to you, so.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Claudia M. Villarreal. I know that her passion, and I've seen her work. She's very engaged in the community. She's a business owner, and I think she would be a great fit for CDC.
I'll second.
So motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. And all those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. Consideration,
Was Miss Claudia here today?
yeah, she's right over there.
Uh,
Yeah, the record is here with us.
Application.
The resume.
You know what, at this time, I
Yeah, so I think
apologize
we're
for
kind of
that.
getting ahead of ourselves,
But
guys.
that's fine, it's already
Trying to
been
make
motioned,
sure
but,
I understand, but I would have liked to heard from the lady herself.
No problem, Claudia. You want to come up and just say a couple of words?
Yes, hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Claudia Villarreal, and I am a resident here in Los Fresnos. I've had a business here in Los Fresnos for the last 2 years. I did submit an application to become a member of the CDC board. I myself have experienced the support from the city, the chamber, and the CDC for my business, and they've helped me, they've supported me, and so with that said, I would like to be able to serve back to my community, help other businesses, just as the city helped me. So I would like to be considered for the position. Thank you.
Thank you for your visitor's remarks.
I think you've already been given the position, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. There was
Yeah,
another visitor
maybe, yeah,
remark.
we got a few out here, actually.
So I have Gordon Capon as a visitor remark. So Gordon, come
Guys,
on up.
let's give these people the benefit to be able to speak, please.
It's already been motioned.
I understand that, but
Commissioner.
just for the record, let's make sure we give these people an opportunity to speak because they are here, they do take the time, and I'd like to be able to hear from all of them, of course.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Gordon.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Milam, Ms. Moya. Thank you for this opportunity to address the council. So I'm asking you to consider appointing me to one of the 2 vacant positions on the Community Development Corporation. I would like to continue serving the city of Los Fresnos as a member of the CDC. I'm currently serving as vice chairman on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I've been on that board for over 2 years. I would bring a wealth of experience to the CDC. I worked for the State of Texas Health and Human Services Commission for 25 and a half years before I retired. Started as an eligibility worker, was a supervisor, worked on a special project, commuting back and forth from the Valley to Austin for 4 years. Then I took a permanent position at State Office Quality Control Program Manager for the Medicaid program. Also, as noted on the application, I started officiating sports in Texas with the Texas Association of Sports Officials in 1991 here in the RGV. I was president of the football and baseball chapters, and I'm currently the president of the softball chapter of umpires. I also served on the Tasso State Board as director for baseball and did that for 4 years. In conclusion, what's helped me with my careers is I've been an effective communicator in various environments, from dealing with administrators, coaches, players at athletic events, to working with entry-level staff to executive-level state and federal personnel. I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
A little questions on your sporting right, and how did that
I
go?
believe this is a visit. Can he talk right now with visitor remarks, or do we have to go to the action item?
Go
Okay,
to the action item, would be best.
okay, so
Be
right now,
best, or is it possible for me to at least get more inquiries from him?
When we get to the.
to the next motion.
Action item, then you can
Perfect,
ask
thank you, Mark,
questions.
thank you.
Thank you. So I'll just read the action item as it states. Consideration and action to appoint a new member to the Community Development Corporation, Place 5,
Mr. Gillespie,
for an unexpired term.
I believe we also have one more here.
No, he spoke in the early, according to his
That was a
visitor
public,
remarks.
that was a visitor remark? Correct.
Okay,
If they would like him to speak, he's able to.
Would you be able to speak, sir?
And then
on
you can
this
ask.
opportunity?
You can ask Mr. Kaplan the questions now if you wish.
sure. You wanted to ask Mr. Kaplan a question first, or did you want Mr. Gillespie to come up and speak?
Actor, Mr. Gillespie, we'll give you this opportunity right now. Appreciate your time.
This is on? Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I wasn't prepared. I actually wasn't even aware that this was going to be happening tonight. I guess, my overall, I guess, background is just wanting to be more involved in the community, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for me to do so. I don't pretend to be that I have more experience than any of these other individuals, but I will say that it's good to get a wide variety of perspectives, and I know that that's one thing I like to do is give my perspectives and be much more involved. So the opportunity to be appreciated, and I'm grateful for this opportunity at least to get up here and say I've been here before for other things, and I haven't had this opportunity or even been told that there was such an opportunity. So I'll leave it up to you with my resume and
One question on your resume,
Yeah.
sir, as I was going over it. You are a current student for Masters in Public Policy Management or just Public
it's
Administration?
Master's in Public Administration.
How do you like that field?
It's
Or
good.
why did you pick that field?
Well, I guess multiple reasons. My background is being a teacher. I taught for Idea Public Schools, and my favorite subject I taught was AP American Politics, Government and Politics. And so I just knew from teaching that we focus very heavily on the president and whatnot, but the decisions that need to be made are locally. So I kind of just got more and more involved, and I feel like if I was going to go for a master's program, I needed to go in something that makes more of a difference, especially on a local base. So I'm very big, and we need to have more local decisions, more local participation, and passion for our local city government, which is kind of what my original remarks were all about.
Well, I do appreciate the remarks you did give during your public speaking. Those were very knowledgeable. That's why I kind of wanted to hear from you as well. Pick your brain. I know you do a nonprofit, which is...
Yeah, so I after I stopped teaching, I started a nonprofit called Beyond the Text, with the idea of being, after teaching for so long, we are heavily focused on our students being in the classroom and learning from a textbook, but there's people down the street that they can learn from. For instance, I'm big into history, and I hate that they learn from a textbook about Vietnam veteran when their neighbor down the street is someone that they could learn from. So the idea was to kind of the same idea. Let's get the kids out being more involved in their community.
Any other questions from the board to Mr. Gillespie?
No.
Yes, sir, with, I guess, the training and education that you're getting through public management and service that you're putting in, with the city is growing and zoning is very important. What can you bring to the table on that end as well? Any advice?
Yeah, well, I would freely admit that I'm a novice. You know, I'm taking this master's program and coming to things like this so I can learn more and more. I'm definitely not an expert. In fact, I think classes about zoning and stuff I haven't even gotten to, so I don't know if I could say anything specific. Only that I am one person that likes to ask questions. I believe that if everyone is agreeing, then no one is thinking. So,
Amen to that, sir.
yeah, so I think that we have to have someone that gets in there that maybe doesn't know everything, but is willing to ask questions. And that I would say, if anything, that's the biggest thing I'd bring to the table.
So do you have research studies with that master's program?
Like in terms of,
Well, if you have something, let me just give you an example. If you have something coming through that board, would you be able to give it the time that it needs so that you can access and see what information is out there, either from the Texas boards or any information, so for you to be able to make a fair-minded ruling on decisions that need to be made?
yeah, so research, my background is history, so research is what you do, right? You want to get down to the core issues of things, of why things are and where they're going. So definitely, right now we're, doing classes about evaluation of programs, right? So you get down, what's the mission statement, what's the results, what leads the results, whether what's actually happening is leading to results or the causality is something else, and then the data. I would say the other thing, I'm a big believer in data, like what do the numbers say, and why do they say what they're saying, and is what we're doing actually leading to those results.
Can I ask you a question? Have you
Yes.
been in business? Do you have a business background or anything like that?
Yeah. So have I been in business? Yeah, I've been in business. I've failed in business. I've learned in business. Right now I have a nonprofit business, right? So I have been in business, but I have not been. I'm not a millionaire or have anything deep there. But yes, I have some experience in business.
I was able to see you in action. It was first time I just saw you today coming in. I did see you work here at the nonprofit program. You do great things in being able to teach and educate. Some of us have, may need that advice as well. As a councilman, I'm always here to listen. I apologize for not being able to get back to you. That's my mistake, and you're absolutely right. We need to make ourselves much more available for these questions, because that is our job and that's our duty as representatives of this community. But I have seen you in action, and I want to say that I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Do you have a question for Gordon? I know you were going to ask him something, and then you had
Yes,
a
sir,
seat.
Mr. Gordon.
Yes, sir.
I know you've ran for city council a few years back. So I have seen you at city council meetings many, many times. Why are you here? Well, first of all, tell me about
I love the city, number one. And I do think Los Fresnos is a good city. Would just like the opportunity to participate more. Like I said, I've been on the Planning and Zoning Commission, but I would also like to get into the CDC, continue to learn more about the city and how it operates, and get more involved in the budgeting and so forth that the CDC has.
Now, with your experience, I'm going to go back to the softball and baseball and the organizations that you run. You are part of what organization with us right now, currently?
With the city, the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, and has any of that experience that you've had dealing with nonprofit organizations or non-governmental organization helped you fulfill some of the duties that you've had with us?
Absolutely.
Could you give us an example?
Again, like I say, dealing with all levels, and it's the same thing here. When we have people come in, we hear what they've got to say, we listen to it, and then we'll, make a judgment on that based on the information that we have. So that's basically it. We have experience seeing what the call is, making the call, and do the same thing when we have people come in.
A strike is a strike, and
Yeah, it depends on who you ask, but yes, there is a definition in all the rule books. So
well, that's what I want to get to know, because sometimes you will be asked, if you do get this position, will be asked to make calls, and some people may not agree, and sometimes you may have to swallow that pill too, right? Because you may not agree with everybody. But as an official myself, right, umpiring nationally, locally, regionally, it's a great experience that you do get, having to decide, and you do have a rule book that you do have to follow as well. So thank you for your time and service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Capon. I'll go ahead and make a motion to appoint Gordon Capon to place 5 for the CDC.
I second the motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. And all those who oppose, do the same.
I'll abstain, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Moving on to acknowledgement of city managers' reports. Mark, any updates you want to give us on those reports?
Yes, sir. On item C, street repairs, that's going very well. Kind of on the south west side of town, 8th Street, 2 different locations, 6th Street, 7th Street. They're all streets that are just the street without sewer work that's also going to be done. Those will be done at a later date. They're doing a really good job of keeping them as open as possible and getting them worked up so that people can continue to go in and out of their homes. From the last meeting to this meeting, I know Juan and Joe had gone to a meeting in Weslaco where we were awarded a $500,000 grant. So that is to do some more street work. We should begin that process in the first quarter of next year. Fortunately, it's a 2-year cycle, and fortunately, we're on the front end of the 2 years, so we'll be able to get some other streets done, which are 9th Street, West 9th Street. There's about 3 blocks there that are pretty bad shape. If you've been there, you'll know. 5th Street off of Mesquite, and then 7th Street off of Fresno. Those are the ones that were identified back when we applied for that. The drainage study is still going, and the drainage work on 3 projects that we have through a loan and a grant. Just takes a long time with environmental and all of those. TxDOT project, you might see them around. They're at Mesquite and 100 right now, working on a drainage issue that they caused whenever they changed the elevation of 100 a little bit. The water pooled right there at 100 and Mesquite, so they're working on that. They wanted us to participate in some sidewalk issues that would become there, as well as an overlay of Mesquite, and we said we would be interested to talk to them, but their pricing was
Expensive.
yes, so we said no, we'll do it with our own contractor. They're still going to do some work at Dairy Queen, Como, and 100. That stretch there pools water as well. The same thing. So even though the road's mainly open, there's still some work that they're doing with that. And that's really all I have that's may be different than the notes I gave you just last week.
Mark, we had a map that you provided us once, and it was in color, yellow, blue, different colors, and it showed projected improvements, like for the sidewalks and the roads. Is that accurate? Is that still accurate, that drawing that you gave us a while back?
Yeah, that one was just where you approved a sidewalk where if we were gonna reconstruct a certain street, if it fell within those guidelines, well, then that would also require a sidewalk to go back with it. You pick mostly, it's not quite true, but mostly every other street, so that someone would have a sidewalk, and this is only in the old part of town. The new parts of towns, they all
It's
come
part
with
of the- yeah,
sidewalk,
it's
but
part of
these
the-
were, developments that happened in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they didn't put sidewalks those days, so.
Yeah, I've been hearing from some of the residents that are really appreciative of the road work that's getting done. Some of them are telling me that they wish they would have been notified so that they could make arrangements on parking. Are we sending out any kind of notices to the residents affected?
Yeah, they've all been notified prior.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, city managers' reports from the council? If not, if there's a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the acknowledgement of the city manager's report.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Acknowledgement of department head reports. There's a total of, what is it, 6? Yeah, 6. Any questions, comments, or is there a motion to be made?
I make a motion that we acknowledge the department head reports.
Motion has been made
I'll second.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. At this time, the time is 6:57, closed session, deliberation pursuant to Section 551-087, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act regarding the following: to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the government body has received from a business prospect that the government body seeks to have it locate, stay, expand in, or near the territory of the government body, and with which the government body is conducting economic development negotiations, and/or to deliberate to offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect described by subdivision. So it's 6:57, we'll move to closed session. Thank you, folks. Thank you for being here. Mr. Garcia, nice to meet you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jackie. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, you guys too.
I can
Thanks for
already
your help.
have you on,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'll still kind of work up with you. It's kind of the same as PNC, but you have to.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna ask you, you talking about that plaza that we were mentioning last night? It was pizza, takeout only, it was fry and loaded, and then nothing else. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't never.
Yeah, they already submitted their application for, they'll be for, excuse me, they already issued.
Ya se fueron todos.
Where's everybody?
Maybe.
Thank you all for waiting. I'm gonna need the visitors. All right, the time is 8:01. We'll go ahead and open the session. Deliberation and possible action regarding the following, Section 551087, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act regarding the following: to discuss and deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the government body has received from a business prospect that the government body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in and near the territory of the government body and with which the government body is conducting economic development negotiations, or to deliberate the office of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect described by subdivision. At this time, we will motion to have Mark continue with the process that he's working on, to continue doing what we were doing. And I'll go to make a motion for that.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose, do the same. Motion carries. At this time, it's 8:02, meeting adjourned. Have a good evening. Happy Thanksgiving.